This hour is brought to you by Jeremy Temple Law Office of Bloomington. Personal injury, criminal, business, whatever you need, Jeremy Temple Law Office will get you taken care of.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come on and welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, powered by Rivals here on this Monday. Welcome in. I hope you had a great weekend. Todd O'Leary's here as always. Jake's at the wheel. I hope you're ready for the week. We're going to get you there. Todd, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. You know, in my introduction, I think you should start saying almost always here.
Well, that's pretty much always. Pretty much always. I mean, every now and then, a little headache, big headache comes along.
Yeah, the headaches have been a struggle here in the last month. The coronavirus, or not the coronavirus, take that back. The quarantine.
There's plenty to give us a headache. Trust
quarantine system has my head all in a different place, so it's been weird. But, yep, good today.
On the program today, Mr. Basketball, Anthony Leal from Bloomington South High School. Looking forward to talking to Anthony as he brings that award. That's a big-time award, man.
It is, you know, it's like an Oscar or Grammy or whatever. When you're introduced for the rest of your life, it is always going to be part of your title, no matter what. Even if he makes it to the NBA and is an all-star, it'll include Indiana Mr. Basketball and NBA All-Star, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, it's a big deal.
And you're right. That is a great analogy, but when you say Indiana Mr. Basketball, I mean, you think of Hoosiers. You think of it is just a long, long tradition of a lot of great players. But, man, what a great award that is. And so happy for him, but happy to have him on here today and happy he's going to Indiana. Indiana now, 3 Mr. Basketballs in a row. First time in program history, which it's cool and all that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really mean anything. But it's a neat deal. I'm surprised, I'll be honest with you. I'm really surprised this has never happened before. I'm shocked that Bob Knight didn't do this. But, of course, back then the talent was, as always, unbelievable, and they were going to different places as well. But it's a little surprising it hadn't happened before.
Yeah, part of the reason it's not happened before is just a lot of it will deal with, the needs of different schools and and also, where a kid goes to school and how the voting is done and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it is a big deal. I know you say it doesn't mean anything. I agree with you. Like it's not like you hang banners off of things like that. But when you're talking about, one of the big deals, I mean, I think it was the number one issue Archie Miller talked about when he was introduced as a coach at Indiana was he's going to recruit from inside out, which means inside the state out. And he's had Mr. Basketball every year he's been here. That's a pretty darn big accomplishment.
Yeah, that is definitely something that has gotten people's attention because Hoosier fans love seeing the Hoosier kids play for Indiana. Of course, it makes sense because there's just a ton of talent here, and why would you not want your hometown guys or the high schools that are in your state? It only makes sense. And with that talent here, they're great to see that. You mix in a little bit of Logan Duncombe or guys outside of the state like that, and you're talking that recipe that was used by Bob Knight some time ago.
Yeah, and also look at it from the standpoint of he's really recruited 3 different types of Mr. Basketballs. Romeo was a one and done. Trace Jackson Davis, I think we all are hoping for 3 years out of him, but for sure getting 2 years out of him. And then I think with Anthony Leal, I mean, we're probably getting a 4-year player out of Anthony Leal would be my guess. But things can change and all that. But you've recruited 3 different types of players, and then you add into the fact if you base it off of national rankings. I mean, I don't think there's any question Christian Lander would have probably been Mr. Basketball next year. So really, you've kind of got 4. It's never going to, that's stupid to say because you never know how that's
going to go. He would have. No, I agree with you.
He would have been in the run. He would have been him or Trey Kaufman, one of those guys, most likely.
I would have put my money on Christian Lander winning that because of the flash, the position he plays, going to IU. Right. Just he's a 5-star. I mean, he's the highest rated recruit.
He's the highest rated recruit in a long time out of Indiana. Yes. So I mean, it's just he would have probably been the next Mr. Basketball. Surprised he wasn't the Indiana Gatorade Player of the Year if they're going to do something like that. I'm surprised it wasn't a senior, for one. But secondly, I mean, it's just they've really got four of the highest rated recruits out of the state of Indiana for the last 3 years, and that's, I mean, how in the world can you ask for more than that?
The one thing that they're missing is slipping in those guys that are just have that something extra that come from wherever to put him in, whether it's a Logan Duncan from Cincinnati, and maybe he is one of those guys and turns into one of those guys. Don't know yet, but that elite talent is the one thing that has escaped from outside of the state, that has escaped Archie so far. That's probably just a matter of time once he gets things going. It's taken him a little longer, I think, than a lot of people expected, and especially when you compare him to some of his peers that they're having a little more success a little quicker. But if this continues and it stays on this upward trend, Hoosier fans will be happy.
Yeah, I mean, look at the movie Hoosiers as an example. I mean, it's a storybook ending. It's the turnaround, a team that shouldn't be there and goes on and wins, and then you go and see, like Texas Tech last year making the Final Four, and everybody wants that storybook ending. Everybody in the state of Indiana that's a Hoosier fan wanted Archie Miller to have instant gigantic success. I won't say that he hasn't had success. I think he's had success. It's been kind of a steady rise and incline. It hasn't been the immediate surge Final Four run right off the bat or make the Sweet 16 all 3 first years. They didn't even make the tournament the first 2 years, but they have gotten better, and he's put the program in a position to be a lot better and consistently for a long time. And that's what we all asked for. We wanted the Hoosiers. We wanted the immediate, rise and win of big time games. But I certainly don't think that anyone can argue from a recruiting standpoint. Now, I mean, here's the next step of that is once you start getting those recruits, the pressure kind of flip-flops back onto the coaches because now you got to do something with them. And I have said this all along, and I always preface it by this because I'm a Romeo Langford fan. I think Romeo is just one of the best players that's ever come out of the state of Indiana. But he was a very difficult player to have on a team in your first year being there, having a one-and-done type player. Archie's never had a one-and-done player before. And to try to incorporate all, the majority of your recruiting efforts go into getting him to come there. Then once he comes there, then you got to try to figure out how to make it work around the team. And then he had injuries to go along with it. And it just, it didn't work out the way everyone wanted. And I can feel like I can back this up by saying, I think that set the program back a year. I really do. And I love Romeo as a player, but as a team for Indiana University, I think having him come there as a recruit, I think it set them back a year.
I don't disagree with you because there are players that could have been gotten that went elsewhere, but would still be here and actually be thriving in the system right now.
And the system is the key to what you just said. I agree with you. There may have been one other player that you could have had in place of him, but really more than that, it's the development of the overall team, because coaching a team with a one and done or multiple one and dones or whatever is very difficult because you're not building. We hear all the time coaches talk about coaches that are now analysts on TV, or Andy Katz the other day talked about why is Gonzaga good every year? Because they get old. And when you have to consistently incorporate one and dones, or in this scenario, have your first ever one and done for the coaching staff, I mean, it's not the easiest thing to figure out how to make it work. And I truly believe that you said it. You have to recruit him. You definitely want him to come there. I know as an Indiana fan, I was insanely excited that he came there and would have been disappointed if he didn't. But also when you look at the long-term effects of it, I don't think it helped the development of the team in over a 3-year period.
I agree with you 1,000%. It did help land, I think, Trace Jackson Davis. It did help land Christian Lander, I think, as they continue. And so it does pay dividends. But you're right. As far as the team, there was a setback, and we're seeing that. But at least we're seeing it trending in the right direction now. And if this continues, I think that big guy that not necessarily big guy position wise, but that big guy recruit wise from wherever is going to start happening, because
that offer
success
they made,
breeds success.
That offer they made yesterday to Jordan, what was his name?
Longino,
something. Yeah,
Longino?
Jordan Longino. That guy can shoot. I watched 3 of his game tapes, and that guy can shoot. That's a guy you want to come.
Yeah, I watched his too, and he does. Is he the one that's got the little kick out with his right leg every time he shoots? One of the guys, every time he shoots, he kicks out with his right leg. It's
Does he?
Yeah, it's just, I kept I'm like going, he can draw a foul maybe sometime with that, but
It's turned into an offensive foul nowadays. But
yeah, he was shooting. Everything was a couple feet behind the 2-point line where he was. So the tapes I was watching as well. Yeah, you're right. He was knocking them down.
I mean, you see. When you see highlight videos of people, they can show you whatever they want. I can take an 8th grader right now playing at any recreational facility and make a decent highlight videotape out of him if he plays 5 or 6 games. But to watch a full game and I watched the way he moved without the basketball, and I watched the way that he got himself into the open area. This is one of the real keys to knowing if a guy's a good offensive player or not. Or has a feel for the game, is when he doesn't have the ball, if he kind of moves into the one little slot where he needs to get the ball where he's going to be able to get his shot off. And this kid really does that well. And I hate to talk about kids that, Indiana doesn't have coming in yet, but I know they offered him yesterday, and he's a kid offensively that is ahead of his time, ahead of his going to be a senior in high school age. And that would be a good get. And he comes out of Pennsylvania, which hopefully Archie, I think he's from real close to the town Archie's from, if not the town Archie's from.
I think you're right. It's close. Then you've got Jordan Geronimo coming in, who I think that this kid can shoot. Then you got an Anthony Leo coming in, who we've seen him shoot. Trey Galloway. They're getting the kind of guys that we haven't seen them have, that they've needed, that we've seen them need desperately. But we think that they're getting those guys. Of course, we don't know that until they're on the floor, because it's a different game. But we think that they're going to translate pretty well. Yeah,
I mean, look, none of us know. You can all just look at the predictions. The thing that I love is, I think even though he won Mr. Basketball, I think Anthony Leal is going to come in with a chip on his shoulder. I think Trey Galloway is going to come in with a chip on their shoulder. These guys are underrated from the standpoint of national rankings, and you want to know the reason why? They're team players. I think Christian Lander, although he's insanely highly rated, which I think he deserves, he's a team player. I mean, you and I watched him play in Southport last year, and I watched him play another game. He didn't force anything.
I'm up to the team player sometimes.
I thought so, 100%. I thought so. I mean, when we saw them, Evansville Rights play against Carmel at Southport last year around Christmas time, I mean, if I were him, once we were down by 10 points, back in my high school day, I would have gone and got the ball out of bounds, and I would have waved everybody out of the way. And Montross and I had played a 2-man game, and it would have – I can assure you I would have been much more selfish than what he was. And I watched him play 2 other games after that, and he was very unselfish. So all of these guys I think Trey Galloway, if he wanted to go to these AAU tournaments and if his goal was to go in there and average 30, he could. And he would be ranked much higher. I feel the same way about Anthony Leal. And I haven't seen Jordan Geronimo in person play as much. I've only seen him on film. So I'm not saying – I know he's the highest ranked of those guys, but I really think those other guys, their rankings are skewed because they're such good team players. And that's what I think Indiana fans – that's why I hate those rankings, because you look at that and you're like, I mean, if we take another one and done – we'd have a higher ranked class, but it's not going to help us 2, 3, 4 years from now.
Nope. Yeah, I agree. Christian Lander, I mean, that's what makes it so great about him, because he is unselfish, but that he has the capability to shoot, to score, to drive to the goal. He can do so many things that he just holds in reserve that when you have a player like that, that's dangerous to the other team because they never know when that's going to get unleashed.
Yeah, I mean, you take, I've just used him as an example. I'm not comparing the two, but take a guy like Isaiah Thomas. When Isaiah Thomas comes down the floor, he is so good with the basketball and so quick and so whatever. He could get a shot off anytime he ever needed to or wanted to. But he also understood the fact of I've got to get other people involved. I've got to get Landon Turner the ball. I've got to make my teammates better as well. I can't just do it all on my own. And once a guy start to understand that, especially as a playmaker like Christian Lander, that's when he's going to be, insanely good. And I think he's ahead of the, curve on that already. I think he involves his teammates, like I said, probably in high school, probably too much.
We'll talk about that a little more later in the show. It's going to shout out to Jody Demling down in Louisville as recovering from coronavirus, man. He's up and speaking. I sent a text to him yesterday, and he responded. I didn't expect him to respond and said, hey, great to hear you're doing better. And just hoping he would get to see that at some point. Well, he responded like in 5 minutes. I was like, oh, wow. But great to hear that about Jody Demling down in Louisville. So congratulations to him. Hey, a lot more coming up on the program. Anthony Leal, Mr. Basketball, is going to be with us. Hopefully we're going to talk to Jake Weingarten from Stock Risers as well. Stay tuned. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, powered by Rivals. We're back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Ryan Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. This is Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. Indiana Sports Beat is now a part of the Rivals Network. You can go to thehoosier.com to sign up. It's free. Catch the show there each day live or at your convenience. You can also like or follow us on Facebook, follow the show's rebroadcast anywhere you podcast. If we're not on a radio station where you live, we should be. Let your local station know they need to carry Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary, or simply go to thehoosier.com.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary coming to you here on this Monday. It is April 13th.
I was going to say, you got to turn and look and see what the actual date is.
I did.
Heck, we got to look to see what day it is.
That's the only thing I know today, just because it happens to be Monday. But it's a couple of days from now, I'll forget. No doubt about that. Indiana football getting several commitments and handing out offers. Tim hit the text line. Yes, they are. He said happy Easter as well. Yeah, happy Easter, everybody. Happy Easter Monday. Hope
when you
everyone.
Talk about football offers. Are those for next season or are those?
Yeah.
2021s. Or what
2021s. They're 2021s.
So
the majority of them. Let's see. From Jennifer, hearing about the bright future of IU basketball is a very nice distraction to everything that is going on today. Archie is getting the recruits. I can't wait until next season. That's from Jennifer down in Evansville. Thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, it's heading in that right direction. Ryan hit the text line, says, let's see. Let Anthony know that pictures on social media of him, Jared Jeffries, and Jordan Hulls recently been so cool. Now, that was pretty cool. Did you see that?
That's cool.
That was neat, man. It was neat to see a picture of Jared Jeffries with a little bitty Anthony Leal, and then you got a Jordan Hulls with an Anthony, or how did it, or no, Jared Jeffries with Jordan Hulls.
And Jordan Hulls with Anthony Leal.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So that was pretty neat, yeah.
I saw the pictures of Jordan or Anthony Leal holding, the All-Star or the Mr. Basketball stuff from Jordan Hulls from a long time ago. I saw that came out like right when they announced it, and it's just it's an incredible honor, and he won't realize how big a deal that is until he's 40 years old. But I know he knows it's a big deal now. It's just it'll hit him later on.
Oh, absolutely. And looking for Tim's points out Trendon Watford. He's headed to the NBA. Not a surprise because LSU will probably be on probation next season. But I think he knew that he could get by with this season.
Have you watched the scheme? Have you watched the scheme show
I have not seen it yet. No.
Oh man, what are you waiting for?
I can't. I can't find it, to be honest with you, on what I have. But I'm still looking for it. But yeah, it's fine. I already know. I mean, LSU. That's why he's like, I can go there for a year because they weren't going to do anything to him last year.
Yeah, and when we had Christian Watford on, mid-season, you could tell. I mean, he wasn't going to announce it or say it, but you could tell, and the writing was on the wall based on the information he said about him ending his career to help Trendon, get to the NBA. That's pretty much a sign that that's what's going to happen. It's just none of us can say what it's like this year or what it's going to be like or what the draft will be like or any of that because none of us have ever dealt with anything like this. So I don't know if it'll work to players' advantages coming out early and not being able to go work out for different organizations, but not having the combine, I really don't know if it'll work to their benefit or work against them. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, well, we don't know. But a lot of guys are. Let's see, Emmanuel Quigley from Kentucky just saw that he's hiring an agent. Not only he's going, but hiring an agent. So you got the guys heading towards the draft. We don't know how any of that stuff's going to work out. That's going to be interesting to see. The NCAA is going to vote on that one-time transfer rule at sometime in May, maybe the end of May. I can't. To me, there's no doubt that they're not going to do that. So that's going to become a rule. I'm fairly certain about that.
Yeah, I mean, and that seems to be kind of a foregone conclusion that that's going to happen. And I don't know if I'm for it or against it, honestly. Like I like the players to have the ability to correct. Maybe I shouldn't say a mistake, but choose a different school after they've been somewhere for a year. I just think that I think that a lot of players after a year might leave a school. And had they stayed at that school, I think that after 4 years, they would maybe admit that was the best decision they could have made, where now they won't be doing that. I mean, a year into it and, not the right kind of playing time or not whatever. I've always said if there's any kind of coaching change or anything like that when a player's at a school, everyone should be allowed to leave immediately because you commit to a school, a large portion of why you commit is because of the coaching staff. And so
absolutely,
I think that should always be the case. But in this scenario, just to be able to leave, I don't know. I don't know if I like it or not.
Try to stay away from the COVID-19 stuff to keep it as positive as possible. But some things you got to talk about. 48-year-old Anthony Causey, who was a sports photographer for the New York Post, I think he was only 48, passed away from coronavirus. I think it was yesterday. But some good things is I saw, like I mentioned earlier, Jody Demling in Louisville, well-known writer down there, but he's on the bright side of things now, it sounds like. But also I saw this morning on Fox 59 out of Indianapolis, something called COVIDconnections.com. It was these kids that have set this thing up that if you go on there, it's for like elderly people who can't get out and get things. They'll go do errands for these people. And I'm like, that is amazing. So I'm like, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, I got to talk about that this morning. COVIDconnections.com. Kids out of Indiana starting this, and it's amazing. They're trying to get it like nationwide, but they are basically just being, it's like being a Boy Scout for all the people out there, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so, it is. And there are some positives. There's positives in seeing how people are reacting to a lot of it. It's just so many incredible sad stories. It's just hard to. It's hard to find the good in it, but when you hear those stories about kids stepping up and doing things, on their own and above and beyond, it's a big deal.
It is a huge, huge deal. And something that we have to mention is Paul Logan, the beloved athletic director, passed away from this. And it's this, I mean, he is probably, that affects as many people probably because of the high school basketball or high school sports connections. He was so well liked. I mean,
I have a ton of guys my age that are North Central grads, and kind of in that 10-year window of guys that I grew up going through the North Central system. I went to Nora and Northview in elementary and junior high, so I would have gone to North Central had I not transferred out to Lawrence North. But so I know a lot of people that went through there, and Paul Logan's one of those people that I never got to meet him. I never knew him, but I certainly wish I did, based on all the people that I know that tell stories about him. And you will never hear a bad word about this guy out of anyone. And it's just, incredibly sad. I mean, the things he did for kids and making kids, feel good about themselves and about their school and program. I mean, that's anyone that can affect kids positively like that, it just makes it even more sad when something like this takes them away.
Yeah, absolutely. There's, let's see, another, I think a grad transfer that's looking at Indiana, Keldrick Wilson. He entered the transfer portal in late February. So there's another. It's just there's so much going on. Which we're grateful for right now. But this kind of stuff that's going on and still happening behind it. Indiana is, and the offers that are going out, they've got a commitment from a 4-star defensive back and several other good 3-stars, but they're bringing in some grad transfers. Look, I'm expecting if things get to start like normal this year or somewhat close to that. And I reminded that Jeremy Price from the Bloomington Herald put up a post. Indiana was ranked 16th in a preseason poll in football. And he said, here's your sure sign that the season will be canceled. Indiana's a preseason number 16.
Right.
But man, you got to start getting excited about football season for Indiana as they keep getting these commitments and guys like this that are just interested in Indiana. This didn't happen before.
Yeah. Well, and anytime you get, guys like Mullins from last year and those guys who have such a successful freshman year, and that, he took a chance on Indiana and I'm not saying Indiana took a chance on him because they would have taken him any day of the week, but just to have that great of a year to get going. And now that helps recruiting for that position and really that side of the football so much that it's incredible. And they already get a lot of guys out of Florida. They'll even get more and more guys out of Florida and Texas as they continue to get better with that. But man, you talk about timing, and timing is such a big factor in a lot of these things. And if things, knock on wood, hopefully prayers to everything, that things get back to normal by college football season. But if that's the case, timing wise, it couldn't be any better for Indiana to have a big time offense and go out and be exciting and watch them to score, because once a lot of this stuff is lifted and time has passed a little bit, people are going to be raring to go to sporting events, and people will be going to sporting events that never went to the sporting events before, and it'll be a big deal. And timing wise for Indiana, it could be just right.
Then we have to think about there's going to be changes to everything we do in life, probably. I wonder what all those changes are going to entail. After 9/11, there were so many security changes. This is different than that, but there's going to be probably a lot of health changes that we have to, shaking hands. I mean, I was thinking the other day, the Japanese had it right a long time ago, didn't they? I mean, they just bow and acknowledge people, and you don't ever touch it. And so they don't have to worry. But they were ahead of the curve on this. No pun intended.
I don't know if I'll join the bowing club, but I'm all for the no handshake rule. It's just odd because I even I saw a guy at the grocery store just a couple of days ago, and he was asking me something about IU basketball and all that, and my first initial reaction is to stick my hand out and shake his hand. And I did. We shook hands. We're like, oh shoot, we're not supposed to do that. Yeah. But it's just it'll take a little while to break that habit, but it's not going to hurt my feeling. I love the fist bump. I'm all about the fist bump, and now we can air fist bump. I'm all for that too. I'm a hand sanitizer guy, so I've always carried hand sanitizer with me. And after shaking people's hands, nothing against anyone. It's my weirdness, but I've always been a hand sanitizer guy after shaking hands with someone.
We can also do the Bash Brothers forearm smash that they used to do.
That's I think you're supposed to have a certain amount of muscle to do that, and I've never fallen into that category, so I haven't had to worry about that one.
Hence the Bash Brothers, yeah. Let's see. Drew Brees, he's headed to NBC after he retires. The Monday Night Football guys, they keep trying to get – they try to get Drew Brees, nothing. They try to get Peyton Manning, nothing.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a scenario that Drew Brees fits the mold of somebody you would think is going to be really good at that. I mean, it's fun to watch. I was never a Tony Romo fan when he was with the Cowboys, but I like him as an announcer, and I just think he's somewhat humble, yet he knows what he's talking about and what's going on, and he calls stuff out and shows you stuff to look at that, as a non-football player, it's interesting to me to watch that. And I think we'll see more and more of these guys. I mean, you're looking at a group of guys. Peyton Manning just, I don't think he can sit still long enough to commit to doing that every week. I mean, he's got just too many things going on.
The NBA, the draft is still scheduled for June 25th right now, but the teams are uniting together, it looks like, to try to get this pushed to August. Again, there's another thing that's going to be affected, and that in itself, how many guys does that affect entering the draft? Because you kind of put it in the last second that way. I mean, it would have to be early August, or otherwise school would be started, and you'd have guys that are entered in the draft that are like, okay, what am I doing here?
Right? Yeah. No, it's the timing of that is going to be, it's going to affect it a bunch as to, who can and can't commit. I mean, these guys are going to have to decommit out of the draft, before school starts, and I just don't see that it's possible for that to happen before August. But it may, but I could be wrong. But like I said earlier, it's just a weird scenario of I don't know whether that's going to be good for the college guys that are leaving early or whether it's going to be bad for them. Just from the simple standpoint, when they changed the rule and allowed them to not hire an agent, but then they could go to the workouts and the combine and all that. Well, I mean, you can get a lot of feedback from teams and know whether you have it. Everyone's going to tell you you're not ready. You should go back. I mean, there's going to be 5 guys where they say, yes, you're ready. We want you now. Everybody else, they're going to say you should go back. Doesn't mean they're not going to draft you if you stay in the draft, but they're all going to tell them they should go back and work on this. And they're not going to have that opportunity this year. So that's what I don't know, whether the NBA teams will just kind of start faltering towards let's take more chances with these younger guys, or let's get some more veteran older players in there rather than take those chances.
Speaking of older veteran players, Charles Minlend was one of the players from San Francisco, a grad transfer that had Indiana in his final 7. I don't know that Indiana had him in their final 7 because there's no room for him if Christian Lander's coming. There is no scholarship availability. So I don't know how much he was on Indiana's radar as much as Indiana was on his radar.
Yeah, totally agree. And I just don't know how that would have fit. But he's kind of a proven player and kind of a proven, make some plays on the floor. And what he choose? Louisville? He ended up choosing Louisville.
Yes.
I think he did. Yeah. I mean, we may watch him next year and be like, oh my gosh, we missed out on that one. But as it sits right now, I don't know that that's that big of a.
It's not. It's not. I didn't expect he was coming anyway. That's the whole thing. It was like
where you could have put him.
There was a kid last year. I forget who it was that he put. It was like it came out of nowhere as recruit. It listed Indiana, and we're like, what? Who? What? I mean, I had to reach out to people like, who is this guy? And nobody there's nothing there. So sometimes guys will put schools up that they have no intent.
Well,
there's nothing
and here's here's the way to look at that. And I don't have, believe me, I'm telling you this. Just knowing what I know about how the process is done is right now, if you look at it on paper, Indiana has a scholarship open. Christian Lander can't reclassify until after he gets all his work done and all that. So Indiana can't slate him into that spot. So right now, looking at it across the country, Indiana can recruit the transfer portal. They can recruit guys coming in as freshmen. They can recruit like they've got an open scholarship. And believe me, if they've got somebody that they really want, you and I both know, without saying how they're going to do it, you and I both know they'll make the room.
Well,
the room will be there.
And to do that, there's no sense in mincing words here. There would have to be a transfer, and there's no doubt that a lot of us thought before now that Demezie Anderson was probably going to be that candidate to do that, since at the end of the season his play disappeared. Done. He did not get off the bench. So, but that hasn't happened, and since it hasn't happened at this stage, I'm like, yeah, it's probably not going to happen now.
And when you look at the roster, and I'll say this, I really I like Jerome Hunter as a player, but it would not have shocked me either if Jerome Hunter had entered the transfer portal, because when you look at what's coming up for the season to come, I mean, I don't slate him in as a starter, and that being the case, it wouldn't surprise me if he entered. It still wouldn't surprise me if he and Demezie entered as transfers, just simply from the standpoint of I don't think either guy will start next year.
Well, start. I'm not. Will he even play? I mean,
I know, but that's what I mean.
And he's going to be a junior.
When you come into it, I mean, if you were Jerome Hunter and you knew you could go to somewhere else and play, would you transfer? I mean, I wouldn't count it against him. I don't want him to by any means. I think he has a huge upside, and I think we've only seen him kind of scratch the surface of where he can be. But it wouldn't shock me looking at what they've got if he did.
Yeah, I don't see him just because he's still such an unknown commodity to other people. Archie's got a lot invested in him, the time and all that. I would be surprised, but I understand exactly what you're saying, and it makes complete sense. I don't see that happening, but we got hit a break here. We got a lot more coming up. Anthony Leal, Mr. Basketball, is going to join us. We're going to talk to Jake Weingarten as well from Stock Risers later in the show as well. So stay tuned. We're back with more on Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary coming to you from the golf club, Eagle Point Golf Club, that is. Powered by Rivals. Back right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. This is Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. Indiana Sports Beat is now a part of the Rivals Network. You can go to thehoosier.com to sign up. It's free. Catch the show there each day live or at your convenience. You can also like or follow us on Facebook, follow the show's rebroadcast anywhere you podcast. If we're not on a radio station where you live, we should be. Let your local station know they need to carry Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary, or simply go to thehoosier.com.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary coming to you on this Monday. Coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, powered by Rivals. There will be no golf today, Todd Leary.
No, there will not.
For no one.
Not only cold, but also windy.
If people are out playing golf today, they are brave because it is extraordinarily windy and extremely chilly. It's barely, I don't know, it's going to crack 50 today.
No, I do not believe it is. But you know what? There will be some people out here golfing. I've seen it worse than this. There's some diehards that like to, keep a streak going and play every day possible, and I'm just not one of those.
Man, there's all the kids that are missing out on camps this year. That's going to stink too. But we've been waiting to talk to Jake. Is this Jake? Jake Weingarten from Stock Risers joining us now. Lots of recruiting news going on, even though we're in this crazy time, Jake. But still, lots of things happening. How are you doing?
How are you guys doing?
Man, you're up in New York today. It's crazy up there.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, out of the ordinary. I never experienced anything like this, actually. So I'm a college student, and I actually came home on March 1st for spring break, just like a little bag of, clothes and some shoes and stuff like that. And, 15 days later, I was supposed to go back. So I came back with, I wouldn't say nothing, but all my stuff is still up there, actually, because this all happened when I was home for spring break, and I didn't really expect to have to stay here for this long. So a lot of my stuff is still at school, and, people can't even leave their houses here. So, yeah, it is really crazy.
But the recruiting it certainly has not stopped yet. We've seen a lot Indiana. Charles Midland, I just noticed, which I don't know. I just said a minute ago, I don't know that. I think that he may have had Indiana on his list. I'm not sure Indiana had him on their list because there wasn't really a lot of room, but he's going to Louisville anyway.
Yeah, so the thing with him was Indiana was on his list, With that, I mean, they obviously don't have a scholarship right now, and obviously he's not going to want to wait to see if they have a scholarship. So the thing with him was Louisville wasn't even on his list. It's funny because I was actually talking to him about 10:15 p.m. last night, and he told me he was committing and he was going to let me know where and this and that, and nobody had known it was going to be Louisville. Nobody, because they weren't even in his final list. And about 20 minutes later, he texted me saying it was Louisville. So, I mean, it was a shocker. It was crazy. But as far as Indiana goes, I mean, I think, like you said, it was more of him having them on his list than, them really, having him as a target. So he's ended up in Louisville, but Butler was a team who was targeting him longer than anyone on that list. So that was a major loss for them.
Well, the last time a recruit unexpectedly showed up on Louisville's recruiting doorstep was Brian Bowen, and that didn't work out too well for him. Indiana obviously still going on. Looking towards 2021, obviously Christian Lander expected to reclassify. Of course, there's no guarantees of that, and he will be that last scholarship. But they're looking towards 2021 next year with the class they've already got coming in with Anthony Leal, Trey Galloway, probably Christian Lander, and Jordan Geronimo.
Yeah, that class is outstanding. I mean, I've gotten to see all of them play. As far as Christian Lander goes and the reclassifying thing, they're not in position with the scholarships right now, but his reclassification, I mean, I think it's obviously going to happen whenever it can happen and whenever, him and Indiana plan on announcing that. But his main thing, his reason to not reclassify was so that he could play in Peach Jam this summer. And that was really the only main reason. Like, he's ready to play college basketball, and he knows that. But the main reason he was going to stay back, he was going to play for Peach Jam, and he was going to pursue a Peach Jam title with the Indy Heat. So now that everything's going on right now, and that that stuff's all being canceled, and it's looking like it won't even happen at all, I think that kind of might move things up as far as what's going to happen with Indiana scholarships, and I think his reclassification announcement will come sooner than later.
Excellent point, because now that stuff, most than likely, there's almost no way that can happen now, unless things take a drastic change, and let's hope for that to be the case. I know we've heard that today may be the peak day for the COVID-19 here in Indiana, so that's at least the start of good news. That doesn't mean anything's changing tomorrow, but good news at least for the future.
Yeah, like you said, hopefully all this stuff happens, soon. Hopefully it all comes to an end. But as far as what Christian wanted to stay for was that Peach Jam pursual, the Indy Heat, and they were going to have a loaded squad. So, I mean, they were going to go deep this summer. So, I mean, that's kind of the last thing he wanted to do is, possibly win a Peach Jam title and then, just make his way out as a Peach Jam champion, which is what every high school basketball player, really wants. So now that there's a chance that might not happen, I just think that he's waiting to see what EYBL does and what happens with scheduling. But as far as everything goes, I mean, I think he does reclassify. I think it's obvious. I think everyone knows. I think he's just waiting to see if this stuff clears up because, like I said, he's a high school kid, and a lot of those high school kids, AAU is real important to them. And, I think he kind of want to end it on a high note, especially with, guys that he's been playing against and with for his whole life in Indiana. So, I mean, I think he's just waiting on the scheduling. The stuff is chaotic. It's crazy. So, I mean, it's really all out of his hands.
Yeah, and speaking of the importance of the AAU this summer, with most likely that not happening, who's going to get hurt by that? Not getting seen, not getting potential scholarship opportunities, things like that.
I mean, there were guys, unsigned seniors, and even, there were some juniors that, were set to break out, and I think those are the guys that are hurt the most because obviously if you're a junior with 1-2 offers and, you have so much potential and, an EYBL team gave you an opportunity to showcase your talents, I mean, obviously that hurts because, what other way are you really going to prove yourself except by your senior season? And it's not like, schools are just going to offer you instantly after one high school season of dominating. So a lot of these guys, that were on the rise, ready to prove themselves, I'd say like I just said, juniors and unsigned seniors, but like the later guys, that are close to graduating, I think that, this stuff really impacted them the most. And the fact that now they have nowhere to showcase their talents, I think it makes it really difficult. And, I said this to somebody else. I honestly think there's going to be a lot of kids, from 2021 reclassifying to 2022. No one big, like no big names, but, guys that were set to break out and, really needed the summer to prove themselves.
Hey, is there still an opportunity? I know July is one of the biggest months for the AAU, and I've kind of heard rumblings that there may be a July-August schedule for AAU. Do you know anything about it?
So they're trying to figure something out in July and August, but they're trying to reformat it, and nobody knows how yet they're trying to reformat it, but they're aiming to try to get something in July and August. So, if they're able to work that out, hopefully they're able to work that out. But like I just told you guys with the whole Lander thing, it's really out of everybody's hands. Like, it's uncontrollable. Like, you can't really predict when things like this are going to end. And because they're telling us that here in New York that this can end soon and that the numbers are slowing down. But, they slowed down and then they went back up. So, you never really know with these things, but they are aiming to trying to reformat something for July and August. And I've only heard of that from EYBL. I haven't heard of it from any of the other circuits yet. But, yeah, they're trying to have a reformatted event.
If that were to happen, would that potentially slow the start of the college basketball season?
Yeah. Honestly, seniors don't even play in AAU unless they're unsigned. So, I don't think AAU would impact the college basketball season because the incoming freshmen obviously aren't even playing in AAU because they're not in high school anymore. So I don't think that would really interrupt AAU, but I think it would interrupt the recruiting aspect. And I think that's exactly what they don't want. I don't think they want, to have AAU and everyone's going to be happy about it because AAU's back, but then coaches won't be able to recruit because they're going to be at the start of their college basketball season and the beginning practices and, students will be on campus and stuff like that, hopefully. So, if they do have these events and, that they have to push back college basketball season, I don't think they would do that only because, like I just said, recruiting and, these high school kids it doesn't really impact when college basketball season starts. It'll just interrupt with the fact that the coaches won't be able to recruit.
The success of the Indiana Heat, you got Christian Lander, Logan Duncombe, Trey Galloway, Anthony Leo, but also Trey Kaufman, a piece that Indiana is also probably one of their biggest targets right now. You've got Logan Duncombe. He was on our show last week, said that that's someone that he is actively going to be recruiting. If they're able to get that piece in there as well, Archie will have really put together a really good two-season class there.
Oh yeah, for sure. And as far as 2021 goes, they're not even, they wouldn't even be done beyond that. But the thing with Kaufman is I'm hearing Purdue is, really high on him and, Purdue wants him to be that guy in 2021. So, Purdue is Indiana's threat. And he's a very talented player. I do think he'll go to either Purdue or Indiana. But if Indiana and Archie Miller are able to win him over, like you just said, it's going to be an insane 2 recruiting cycles for Archie Miller.
What else is going on, Jake, for you at Stock Risers? I know that you're always busy and at it. Anything you need to tell the people with where all they can find you?
StockRisers.com is my website, and at Jake Weingarten is my Twitter, where a majority of my articles get posted as well.
Brother, I appreciate you joining us and keeping us updated on things. Hope you stay safe up there in New York.
I appreciate it, guys. Stay safe.
You betcha. Jake Weingarten, the Stock Risers, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat. Get us updated on some recruiting news, and even the coronavirus can't kill recruiting, Todd.
No, it can't. And you know that there is no way. Especially I would say the only thing it does right now is it makes everybody talk about it even more because there's really nothing else to talk about. And when you can't talk about live games that are going on, obviously the next thing you look to is what's coming down the road, and recruiting is that deal. And I as long as things kind of progress and continue to get a little bit better with the virus the way that they have, especially the NBA talking about resuming when they are, if that happens, I truly see a July-August AAU format coming out for this year, and it won't affect college basketball season at all. College basketball doesn't even start until, late October. And so, it really wouldn't have any effect on that. And I as long as things continue to get better, which is a hopeful scenario, I really see. I know they've talked about with a lot of the different programs. He talked about EYBL, but he mainly deals in Under Armour, Nike, and Adidas. And I know there's a lot of other programs besides that. And I can tell you, like, they're really working hard to try to make it happen for a July, August AAU scene.
Yeah, I'm thinking we're sitting around here not doing anything now, and what I'm afraid of is everything all of a sudden is going to go boom. Here's you got to do everything, and just it's like taking a jar and just dumping it all out. You're like, oh God, where do we go?
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, from the sports world perspective, when this thing is going on, I mean, baseball and football are going to be, or baseball and NBA basketball playoffs are going to be the things that might be the first things that come back. And that being the case, those of us that are basketball nuts, college basketball season, college football season are really what I look forward to the most right now. Obviously, I look forward to the PGA and golf. I hope they get all the majors in and that stuff. But, you're right. It's all going to happen at once. And that's when we may see the numbers rise again, when you get, 10,000 people in the same arena together again.
I was watching 60 Minutes on my YouTube TV yesterday, and when I hit it, it brought up the end of the Masters. I was like, wow, CBS is really going for reality here.
I watched it all day yesterday.
But I was like, CBS is going for reality. Even the 2019 Masters is running long.
Yep.
Hey, we got a lot more coming up here. Mr. Basketball, Anthony Leal from Bloomington South High School is going to join us next here on Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary. We're back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, powered by Rivals, right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs, Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jill Reynolds take care of your family. Stop by 65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make it tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. This is Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. Indiana Sports Beat is now a part of the Rivals Network. You can go to thehoosier.com to sign up. It's free. Catch the show there each day live or at your convenience. You can also like or follow us on Facebook, follow the show's rebroadcast anywhere you podcast. If we're not on a radio station where you live, we should be. Let your local station know they need to carry Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary, or simply go to thehoosier.com.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Hey, it's Michael Lewis, former Indiana University player and current UCLA assistant basketball coach, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Corey O'Leary coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, powered by Rivals on this Monday. And now we got a little royalty as Mr. Basketball from Indiana joins us. Anthony Leal, how are you this morning, sir?
Doing very well. How are you?
I'm fine. Todd Leary's here with me as well. He said he's mad now he has to call you Mr. Basketball.
I got an 18-year-old kid I have to call Mr. now. It's kind of backwards, but congratulations, buddy. That's an unbelievable honor.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I know that growing up in Bloomington, you heroes. We've seen the pictures of you as a little kid with Jordan Hulls, and we saw one with Jordan with Jared Jeffries. The legacy of Bloomington here alone, but such a cool thing, man. That is such an exclusive fraternity that you just joined, and I know you're just as happy and proud as you can be, as you should be.
Yes, very much so. It's incredible just to know that I'm included in that list of names.
It's kind of a storybook, it's written storybook. It's kind of, Jordan Hulls is kind of the All-American kid, and you kind of fall into those exact same shoes, and you just kind of do everything right. And it's an honor that I was an Indiana All-Star back in 1989. I know you'll laugh when you hear that. But,
congratulations, that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. But it's still to this day, anytime I go do speaking engagements, anytime I go do anything, it's how you're introduced. And I know you have a lot more things to accomplish. Hopefully they include, national X-year national champion. I hope they include that on your resume, but you will be introduced as a Mr. Basketball for the rest of your life. And I said it earlier, it won't be until you're 40 years old, probably, until you really appreciate how big a deal it is. But it's a storybook ending. This was kind of my point. It's kind of a storybook deal in the way it's written up, but it's incredibly well-deserved. And you have – it wasn't given to you. You earned it, and it's an incredible honor. And I just hope I know your family and your mom and dad appreciate how big a deal it is. But, it's a cool thing, and you go into – you'll be respected by people for the rest of your life just because of that. So congratulations, buddy.
Thank you so much.
Jordan has been on with us quite a bit, and we asked him about it. I know he reached out to you. And how special is it for you to hear from people like that? Because I know that's one of the guys that you've looked up to.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I've looked up to him since I remember watching him play at South. So it's really cool just to be able to have that kind of relationship with him, and we're able to talk about more than just basketball together. So it's really awesome.
And like Todd said, it takes a long time for this stuff to truly, truly sink in. But, man, knowing that Bloomington South is a high school with just so much athletic tradition, and now you're going to be on that Mount Rushmore of Bloomington South athletics, so to speak. And when they announced your name as Mr. Basketball, what was the feeling that went through you at that time?
I was just really grateful. I don't think it really hit me till it was made public, since I knew a couple of days before, and I was just kind of like, wow, it's actually happening. But once it got released, it really felt really real, and just seeing how much everybody kind of showed love and all that kind of stuff was really special.
And the fact that you're the third straight Mr. Basketball going to IU, a first ever, kind of adds to the specialness for you.
Yeah, of course. It just gives me another goal to shoot for, because, Romeo and Trace have had great success so far. So hopefully if I'm able to kind of step up to those expectations, I'll be able to do something pretty well.
Now, Indiana has an opportunity to potentially land a fourth Mr. Basketball if, say, someone like Trey Kaufman won the award and committed to Indiana. I know Logan Duncan was on here last week, said that's somebody he's recruiting. I know you played some AAU circuit ball with him. Are you actively trying to recruit anybody for the team?
Yeah, of course. I was actually, whenever we played Silver Creek, I was talking to Trey during the game, and then afterwards, and then after they announced that I had won Mr. Basketball, he texted me and said congrats, and I said I said, thanks. And you're going to make it number 4, right? As in like he would commit and then win it next year. So I'm definitely trying to recruit him.
Did he give you an answer?
Already a team player. I love it.
Did he give you an answer?
What was that?
Did he give you an answer?
He said he's going to keep working. You know, just, obviously didn't want to say anything he shouldn't have said. So he just kind of gave a basic answer. But I know, you know, IU should be there right till the end with his recruitment. So that should be.
Have you played with Logan Duncombe at all?
I have not. He was on the same AAU team as us, but he was a grade younger than me, so I never have actually played in a game with him. But one of my high school teammates has, and he was raving about him whenever I texted about him. So it was awesome.
Great. How? Let's get to the important stuff. How is the guitar coming?
It's slow but steady progress. You know, I'm not going to be holding any concerts anytime soon or anything like that, but I'm getting better for sure.
How did I miss this? When did it? What happened?
He learned. He taught himself how to play during quarantine with nothing else to do. He's taught himself how to play the guitar. I do my homework. I do my homework on these interviews.
You don't know how upset I am right now because I've been trying to do that and with zero success whatsoever, other than my fingers are killing me.
Yeah, no kidding. Your fingers have to get the fingertips especially have to grow on it for sure.
Well, are you playing left-handed? Because I don't want your fingertips on your right hand to have any issues. Now, come on. You better be playing this thing left-handed.
Yeah, no. I do.
So are you going to be serenading? Oh, my gosh. You're going to be the king, man. You're Mr. Basketball. You're playing guitar. Please tell me you can't sing.
No way.
You can have your sister sing for you.
Not a singer, not a dancer, but I'll play the guitar.
Well, you know, that's always a good thing to have. But yeah, it's good that you're learning how to do something. Like I said, I was trying to do that, but I'm like, oh man, this would drive me nuts. I can't do it, but it's fun to be doing that. You can't do a lot of basketball things now. I've talked to a lot of guys. They try to find a gym or a goal here that's been so difficult. What are you doing to try to stay up past the time?
Yep, I actually just worked out from about 8 to 10. I do that pretty much every day. One of my friends has an indoor court that's like connected to his garage, so I go over there and try to, you know, keep my shot consistent. And then I have some at-home workouts that I do for strength stuff. But I've figured out how to be able to stay on top of my stuff so that I'm not behind whenever all this kind of blows over.
Now, are you talking to any of your future teammates, the guys that are coming in with you over the course of the summer?
Yeah. I've been talking to Trey and Jordan a lot in our group chat, and we've been talking to Christian. I've been seeing how his schoolwork's going, that kind of stuff, just to try to stay in contact with everybody.
Are you allowed to communicate with the coaching staff and Trent, like Cliff, Marshall, and those guys? Are you allowed to communicate with them right now?
Yeah, we're free to do that, just obviously over the phone since we can't get out and talk in person. But I've got like workouts and stuff from Coach Marshall, so that's awesome.
Gotcha. Awesome. Yeah, that's great.
I want to ask how Christian's getting along. I know he's busy trying to do two things, but trying to just do normal schoolwork and try to reclassify. So I know he's very, very busy. But, yeah, it's going to be an interesting summer with all the things that are going on, but trying to get back to some kind of normalcy. And I know that Jordan Geronimo, you mentioned him. He's a kid that seems like he's really, really excited about getting down to Indiana.
Yeah, he's really excited. I know we all kind of are, just to be able to move in and start bonding together in person, and then be able to obviously get on the court together. So I know he's definitely ready to get over here.
Have your mom and dad prepared for how many home cooked meals they're going to have to make for people, for the guys on the team once you guys actually are in season next year? I know we were fortunate enough. I had a guy from your high school, Chris Lawson, that was on our high school team, and just being from, you know, we had Pat Knight as well. So we had two guys from Bloomington that were on our team, and we took full advantage of going to eat at their houses for home cooked meals. So you might want to prepare your mom for that in advance.
Yeah, I expect a lot, and I know it's going to be something my mom's going to love, just because it's going to mean that we're all at her place and you know, kind of spending time with her, because I'm growing up now. So she's definitely going to love it, and she'd probably be willing to cook us meals whenever.
Yeah, I know they've been a big part. I saw you guys at most of the IU games last year, and I know how proud of you they are. And just just trust me. As much as you warn her, I don't know that you can possibly guess how many times they're going to come by for meals, because I know we did it a lot.
Yeah, getting to play in your hometown, that's another cool thing, Anthony. You're college, but a lot of guys move away, obviously, but you didn't have to do that. It's very fortunate. One of the things I just mentioned, one of the things that will go along with that. But getting to play in front of your family and your friends and all that, that's a little different than most guys get to have, but it's got to be special for you.
For sure. I'm kind of nervous, honestly, for the first time I go out there, just because I don't know how I'm going to react. I hope I don't embarrass myself, because it's like I've been dreaming about it literally since I could dribble a basketball. So now to actually be able to live it out, it's definitely going to feel awesome the first time. I just don't know how I'm going to be able to react.
Well, Todd knows. I mean, he's a superstar.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be. Look, you're well more equipped than I was when I came in, and you will not embarrass yourself. I can promise. Just understand this: you're going to shoot an air ball at some point in time. I swear to you, I was more nervous about possibly shooting an air ball than I was anything else. And honestly, once I got the first one out of the way, I was like, it's no big deal. It wasn't that big a deal. So go ahead and fire up an air ball in your first game and get it out of the way. That way you don't have to worry about it. And then from then on, it's all smooth sailing. It's all no, don't make it the first shot. Just make it in the first game.
Got you.
Don't do it from the free throw line, though. You can never recover from an airball free throw.
What else? I'll say, so forget about basketball. What are you doing for fun right now to pass this time?
The guitar, man.
That's not fun. I just need my fingers, man.
We're right next to Lake Monroe, so I go over there pretty much every day and set up my hammock and just kind of chill or listen to music or read a book or anything like that, just to be outside, since I really like, especially being at the lake. So that's kind of what I've been doing besides playing basketball for fun.
All right, I'm putting you on the spot since you said it. So what kind of book does Anthony Leal read?
Right now I'm reading a basketball book, so it's not like anything serious.
Have you ever read Season on the Brink?
Say it again?
Have you ever read Season on the Brink?
I have not, no.
Okay, don't. Don't. It's a Bob Knight book from a long time ago, and it is it'll scare the piss out of you, and we don't want that. So it's not like that anymore, and you don't have to worry about it. So you will just continue reading your positive books and get your karma headed right in the right direction on your way in.
There we go.
Anthony, I can't thank you enough for joining us, man. Congratulations again on winning Mr. Basketball. Congratulations on getting things heading in the direction of going to Indiana and all the fun that you're going to. I hope the summer becomes more fun for you, for all of us, for that matter. But congratulations, man. And your family has been so awesome. Your mom has always been so great for us as well. So thank you to everybody.
Yeah, thank you guys for the time.
We appreciate you. Anthony Leal, Indiana Mr. Basketball, brother. Go out and have yourself a good day.
Will do. You too.
Thank you. There he is. Mr. Basketball joining us, Anthony Leal from Bloomington South High School. We appreciate him as always. Earlier, Jake Weingarten was on with us, and after he got off, he sent me a message. He forgot that, of course, Aminu Muhammad is one of the guys that Indiana is definitely been talked about. We talked about him earlier, but his guardian had spoken with Indiana. I forget Sean. I forget what that guy's name
Starts
is.
with an M, yeah.
Yeah, Sean something. But he said had a one-on-one call with Archie this evening, which was last week. And we talked about Aminu's importance to their program, being a top priority recruit for them at his position. And they're looking for a two-guard in the 2021 class that can come in and be productive right away. Miller likes his work ethic, thinks it's one of the best work ethics he's seen at the high school level. Looking forward to things opening back up and being able to get to games and get him on campus. The recruitment of Aminu will pick up. That's a guy that him and Trey Kaufman are probably the two priorities for that class now, since they already have Logan Duncombe. And if they were to get those, that could end up being a freaking monster class.
Yeah, it could. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's he kind of fills a similar position to guys that they'll have there. I see Leal and Galloway and Geronimo as 4-year guys. But you know what? Recruiting is a never ending. You can't be too deep at a certain position. And if you get two really good two guards, believe me, one of those guys is going to become a 3 guard, and you're going to play with two of them on the floor. So it's never a situation of getting too deep at a certain position, because you'll readjust your lineup and your teams to fit, what you've got. So I don't look at it that way as much as I look at, eventually, they're going to have to replace some size. There's no two ways about that. And so I just look for, somebody in the grad transfer portal a year from now, not this year, but a year from now, to kind of fill that 6'8" to 6'10" void that Indiana's going to have.
Yep. I want to thank Jake Weingarten from Stock Risers joining us. He was apologetic afterwards. He's in New York, and he just got out for the first time today, he said, in like weeks. But they're locking him back down, but he was apologizing. But I thought he was great. We'll have him back on too. But of course, great to talk to Mr. Basketball, Anthony Leal from Bloomington South, heading to Indiana. Looking forward to that. Tomorrow on the program, we've got more coming to you. Wrote it down. Angelo Pizzo. How about that? Mr. Hoosiers. We're
going to have the Chinese Rudy again. We can talk about the Chinese Rudy again.
Let's talk about the Chinese Rudy. If there's got to be a movie that could be made out of this. I mean, there's so much going on here. We got to maybe come up with a movie. Hey, Wednesday. How about Cam Cameron on Wednesday? Looking forward to Coach joining us. He said hey to you, by the way, Todd Leary.
He's one of the best.
We've got all that, man. We cannot thank everybody enough. Appreciate all you guys for listening. We appreciate you. Thanks a lot for Jake and Todd, as always. Until tomorrow, I will see you on the radio.